Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to spend a lot of money. Welcome to episode 6 of our Newcastle FM23 beta save, where today we are going to do the season review and try and get this team rebuilt the way we want it with the summer transfers. But without further ado, let's jump straight into that season review. Before we do that though, if you do enjoy today's episode and the series, please do drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel. But this looks relatively the same as last year's installment on FM22. I haven't obviously had a chance to have a look at this yet. But it looks pretty similar. So we've got the new arrivals first. We can see some of these obviously precede us being here. Alexander Isak, for example, obviously a real life transfer that happened before FM23 was released, costing £60 million to bring to the club. 28 appearances, 20 goals. I don't feel like that's a bad return, to be fair. We've then got Cole Palmer, guy who we brought in. It says 675,000. We haven't actually paid any money for him. He has made 13 appearances though and scored 7 goals, which again, I think is, I said it in yesterday's episode, I feel that's a pretty good goal to game ratio in my opinion. Yao Mario is another one of ours, £14 million to bring to the club. He's ended up playing 13 games, mostly as the right winger, and has provided 4 assists. He's not fantastic, but it's not bad. Dominic Livakovic here, £16.75 million and played 21 games, conceding 38 goals though. Oh, that's not very good, is it? Is that his fault? I don't know. Maybe. Matthew Targett was also a new one. I didn't actually realise that. £12 million for him. Pedraza was one of my signings for £90 million. Made 16 appearances. Guido Rodriguez, another one of my ones. £22.5 million and 36 appearances. 5 assists, 1 goal. His rating isn't great, but he has played mostly as a defensive midfielder. So I think we kind of ignore the rating slightly. Tozvin as well was one of mine for 22.5 million. That's ending up looking a little bit steep. I did expect more from him. Sven Botman was also a new signing. Some of these I didn't realise were necessarily new Newcastle signings because I didn't keep that close an eye on them during the summer transfer window. Zalewski, I think, is going to turn into a very, very good player in the future. We can see he's already wanted by Watford. Watford are not having him. Rykick, another one of my signings. Will he still be here next season? I don't know. Gustavo Gomez, Nyanzu. Nyanzu as a record signing at £40 million for Newcastle. Actually, he's not a record signing. I've just realised FM22 has been saying it's a record signing. But Isaac cost £60 million. So how is Nyanzu a record signing? We'll put that down to a bug. But he still costs quite a lot of money. And between injuries and just poor performances, I don't think he's been worth 40 million yet. But there's still a lot of time for him to improve. So we won't count that yet. Nick Pope, obviously a new signing as well. Oh dear. We're just not going to talk about that. And Puigdemont, who turned out to be a bit of a miss signing and hasn't played a game for the club yet. Transfers out. We can see him here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can pause the video and have a little bit of a look yourself should you want to. And loans out, we've got Isaac Hayden, who got sold in yesterday's episode, and some other players. Elliot Anderson obviously went out on loan, but then came back in and spent the second half of the season with us. Season results: the Magpies suffered a largely dismal campaign. I feel like that's underselling it, if I'm honest. We were expected to qualify for the Europa League, which would have meant top 6. We eventually finished in 11th. The home attendance is actually being fantastic based on that. 99% full, I think, is really good given how the team were performing. Top goal scorer, Isaac, with 19 goals. We can see we are all the way down here. Forest, Brighton and Fulham, the team is being relegated this season. Spurs all the way down here. They spent a lot of time actually in the relegation zone. And then we can see top 4, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea. Aston Villa just outside of that, as well West Ham, and then Manchester United down in 7th. FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. The less said about either of those, the better, I think. Our biggest win was a 4-0 win against Brentford, which was all the way back in August. Our match to remember was against Chelsea, who we beat 2-1. All the way back in August, and then we did have a goal of the season from Palmer as well, which is nice. The club reputation hasn't changed. We got 2 new sponsorship deals. This is quite cool. I don't remember this being an FM22, so you can actually see any new deals. You got the most notable one as well. Sponsorship, broadcast revenue, all of this has gone up, but that always happens in Football Manager, because obviously it's got nothing to base it on. So these are always green in the first season. And then we've got some football shirts over here telling us who are the top shirt sellers that are quite hard to read. I don't know how that appears on screen for you guys, but red on black and white is not a good look. Guimaraes, Isaac, Tovin, Saint-Maximin, and Yao Mario, the top shirt sellers this season. This is our preferred lineup, apparently. I feel like that is a lie, but we'll go with it. Livakovic, Pedazra, Rykic, Botman, and Trippier. I mean, the left back and the right back are fine. The 2 centre backs, I wouldn't say they were our top choices this season, but whatever. Rodriguez, Palmer, and Guimaraes. Again, Palmer has literally never played in the centre midfield. So Maximin, Toivin, and Isaac. Yeah, this looks like it was an FM22 where I never agreed with it. We did get Manager of the Month once in December. I don't remember having a particularly good December, but we must have done. Player of the season, fans player of the season is Isaac, young player, also Isaac. Signing a season is Livakovic. We've then got top goal scorer goes to Isaac, most assists to Trippier with 9. I'd like someone to hit double digits. Most player of the match awards, highest average rating, both Isaac, and most passes is Gomez. Fair enough. And then all of these records being broken over here. But again, I don't think they count for a lot, because I don't think it's got anything to base it off. What the journalists saying then? The Magpies suffered a largely dismal campaign, playing well below expectation for the majority of the season and toiling in the relegation zone. Again, I don't ever remember being in a relegation zone, but okay, we'll allow it. Only to make an escape effort they will at least be able to proudly look back on. Oh no, I do like this. This doesn't make a lot of sense in a beta save necessarily, but I think when I go and do the Journeyman, which if you're not subscribed to the channel, you should, because come the release of the full game on November 8th, I do my Journeyman save, where the idea is basically go from non-league football to winning the Champions League. I did it last year. Go have a look at that. We're starting off with Taunton Town. Shameless plug aside. I think this will be quite cool then, because you'll be able to look back on your whole timeline, so you can see it's got stuff like joining the club, stuff like your fitness coaches joining. I don't think are necessarily massively relevant, but you can see some signings you made. So Zalewski there joining from Roma. We've then got some more signings down here. Us winning the Manager of the Month. Some more transfers, some more transfers, some more transfers, some more transfers. We've then got some stuff that happened. So we've got Coyle, the Australian striker that is actually joining Newcastle in real life, because that's not a signing I made. That was one that was already done. Being nominated for the Next Gen Award, which is quite cool. Some more bringing up potential things, which was the youth recruitment, the youth intake. That's what I mean. And then Isaac getting his 20 goals. So this will kind of be cool, I think, for a long-term save. At the moment, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. This is quite cool as well. Obviously, a couple of these emails I've already looked at, because I had to get to this point of recording. We can see the core has gone right down. Family's gone up, core's gone down. Social media is quite a cool little thing as well. I guess if you were doing like a bigger rebuild of a club to see if you've got more people following you, I think that's kind of cool. Waiting list is about the same, but the social media followers, that's quite cool. That's gone. Supporters info on the board is low, thank God, because the core, obviously, by the looks of it, quite unhappy with us. We then got that, I don't care. Squad dynamics, new season team report. That kind of looks very similar to this season, except I don't expect Shah to be playing in there all that much necessarily, and they're the wrong way around. Never mind. What we really want to see now, though, of course, is some sort of finances for next season. We will always have a look at the club vision they want us to do. Develop players using the club's youth system. That's different to last season. We've added this as we want the club to develop young players. All right, fair enough. Grow the club's reputation, increase commercial revenue, work within the wage budget. I like it tells you what they've added as well. So informational objectives, maximum 1-year contracts for players over the age of 33, maximum 2-year contracts for players over the age of 31, minimum 4-year contracts for first-team players. We've had this as it feels it makes good business sense for the club. Yeah, my contract expires. Oh no, that could be very bad. Grow the club's reputation. Challenge in a domestic cup competition. Yeah, no, that's as low as it will go. Okay. Work towards qualifying for the Champions League. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, you're not going to let me change any of it. I'll be interested in FM23 because definitely in FM22, if you ever negotiated anything with the board, they wouldn't budge. So it was kind of a bit of a useless feature. Initial budgets, though. Oh, dear Lord. Don't let me loose with that sort of money. That is silly. I mean, the wage budget is a bit off. But £145 million. Oh, we're going to be able to have a fun summer. This instantly switches over, by the way, the moment you enter a new season. The only thing I can't work out at the moment, if any of you are playing and you can tell me, is I had some of the shortlisted players. You can add them to your squad planner. It came up and went, it's going to change today to the new season. Oh, I was about to say, how do you copy it? There you go. You copy the current season plan to next season because I've lost all the shortlisted players basically because I'm blind and I didn't notice that on the screen. Never mind. If you've not seen it as well, this is quite cool. The experience matrix. So it kind of tells you within your first team, your experienced players, your ones that are at their peak, who's an emerging star. So for example, for us is Guimaraes. I wouldn't call him emerging. Surely he's peak. Same with Isaac, but I guess they're young. And then you've got the ones that are in the development stage. So Cole Palmer, Matty Longstaff, who will be leaving the club, Elliot Anderson, these guys that probably, I kind of see this as could eventually end up in the first team, could play in the first team now, but probably won't be, will be in the first team, definitely should be in the first team and on your leaders. Doesn't always work because Matt Ritchie, not going to be in the first team at the moment, is he? Doesn't matter how much we are struggling, he's not going to be in the first team. But squad planner then, let's have a look at this. I mean, our goalkeepers aren't very good. I don't know if that's just an FM22 beta thing. I keep saying this, but I genuinely think it might be. We could do with a better left back, considering it's saying Zalewski is our best left back. The centre backs worry me slightly. The right backs are good. Why has it not got... Oh, I know why. Hold on. There we go. So that's better now. Basically, it bases it off... When you're on here and you can move your players up and down like this, that's what it bases this off. So that's why it was all wrong. So Livakovic is okay. Pope I'd like to keep because obviously English player. So I feel like he's kind of important. Over here, I still think we could do with a bit better depth at left back. I feel like we could do with a really good couple of centre backs for that money as well. Trippier is absolutely fine. But realistically, we need at least a backup or an improvement, but at least a backup. In here, this is a problem because you've basically got Rodriguez, Guimaraes, Nyanzu, who should be playing as one of the centre-backs, but can cover there, and Longstaff, who can cover there, but probably shouldn't be. So that causes a little bit of problems. So we need to really strengthen here, either as defensive midfielders or as centre midfielders, but either way, we need to strengthen. So Maxim and Zalewski, I'm absolutely fine with there. I really want to bring in Palmer. I think I will be bringing in Palmer. And then that puts Palmer here with probably Almiron as his backup. Over on this side, you've got Mario and Toivin as his backup. And then Alexander Isaac and Wilson. I mean, I don't have an issue with Wilson. You look at his stats this season. Oh, okay, they're not as good as I thought they were. But I don't have a major issue with him, to be honest. And he's been at Newcastle for a few seasons. I think he's probably fine to stay. It kind of depends on who we see. Also, fun thing, how do I buy Palmer? Because I can essentially activate his release clause to be 34.5 million. Will Manchester City take 20 million for him and we'll just ignore this? Either way, we basically need to go away and spend quite a bit of money. I also probably need to just have a look through the squad that we've got currently and work out if there's any players that maybe need to go. So we're looking down here. Matt Ritchie, he'll be going. He probably needs to go. Prigman needs to go out on loan. Matty Longstaff will be going. Yavi Manquillo, he needs to go. John Longstaff, I'd like to keep, I think. Jamal Lewis, I'd like to keep. Elliot Anderson. Cardalo, mate, please leave. Jacob Murphy, again, I think he can probably go. He's made 5 appearances, all off the bench this season. Nick Pope needs to stay. Botman, I think I'd like to keep as well, but I'm not sure. Nyanzu, yes. Emil Kraft, who was injured for most of the season, has not made 1 appearance. He needs to go. And we could kind of go through this. I mean, would I be mad about losing the likes of like a Rye Kick? I think they're all right, but I wouldn't be too mad at losing them. The same with Matthew Target. I mean, he's okay, but would I be mad at losing him necessarily? Not if the right player came along. Joe Wilcock, I'd like to keep as well. But we realistically at that point need to be playing with central midfielders. And it's whether our team can cope with playing with central midfielders, because so far this season, kind of proven we can't do it. It's going to be a long transfer window, isn't it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are in mid-June and there has been a bit of movement in the squad already. So we're going to have a look at the outs that have left the club so far, starting with Dan Burn. You might have noticed in a few of these episodes in this series so far, I'm not a huge fan of Dan Burn. Just purely because, although on paper, there's nothing wrong with him. He looks absolutely fine. He seems to be some sort of dodgy when he's in the centre of defence. We obviously bought him in for 13 million. He's played a couple of seasons with Newcastle. We've shifted him on to West Brom, who I think are newly promoted. Potentially. Who are newly promoted, yeah. Obviously they are. They're not in the Premier League currently. For £10 million, that's what he's gone for anyway. I'm going to have to do this every time I click someone. That's mighty annoying, FM. That is something you need to sort out. Matty Longstaff has also left. He's gone to Plymouth on a free at the end of his contract. It was just before the end of his contract, but he's left nonetheless. Yavi Manquillo has gone over to QPR in the Championship for 3.9 million. I didn't think he'd be playing much of a role this season, to be honest. We've then got Matt Ritchie. He's gone to Rotherham for 35,000. Again, he was getting on and he just didn't play much. We've got a couple of young players. Josh Scott has gone. Jacob Murphy has gone to Stoke for 3.7 million. Fabian Schär's gone to Bournemouth, who are in the Premier League, for 14.25 million. Not necessarily one we encouraged, but they came in for him. He wanted to leave, and we'd already made a couple of signings, which we'll have a look at in a moment. So we needed to shift someone. Fabian Schär, the man that has left, and then Jordan Hackett has gone to Leeds for 875,000. On the inside, though, there has been some business so far. Who was first through the door then? Who have we signed so far? It's not in the right order, James. That's why. Let's have a look. So the first one in this transfer window was Danny Vivian. He's not quite as fantastic as potentially we could have bought a player in for, but he is good cover. He's obviously younger than Fabian Schär, and he's got potential to improve. Cost us £32 million. Again, he looked a lot better on the scouting report, so he was showing up as a minimum of 4-star. It could be, though, that his star rating has dropped based on some other stuff, other transfers that we have made. We also bought in Anatoly Trubin, a Ukrainian goalkeeper. I think I used him a couple of times on FM23. As we can see, very, very young, only 21 years of age. 3-star current ability, so in line currently with Livakovic, and massive potential. We have brought him in as backup. He agreed to come in as a backup, as a deputy to Livakovic, but it could well be that he ends up being the first choice goalkeeper this season. If we just have a look, just for your eyes, if you compare him with Livakovic, so Trubin in green and Livakovic in blue, Livakovic far superior shot stopping. Trubin beats him on physicals, he beats him on speed. Mentals, Livakovic just wins out, but not by a lot. Trubin is better at communication and aerial ability and distribution. Livakovic had it, so there's not really a lot to choose between them. Attribute rise, it's kind of the same story. We could have a look at recommended role, goalkeeper, defend. For example, if we have a look at this, we can see they're very equal on mentals. They're quite equal on physicals. It only takes in the case of agility for some reason. But agility, Livakovic is winning out. And goalkeeping wise, Livakovic does have a slight edge at the moment, but they're not far off from one another. So I really don't know if we start him this season or if we start Livakovic. I guess we'll work that out as the season goes on. And you might have seen already that we also bought in Timber. Obviously playing at Ajax in real life, he cost us £70 million. We didn't pay all that up front. A lot of it's in installments and on the Never Never, by which I mean it's if we win the Premier League, it's if we win the FA Cup, it's when he makes some international appearances, blah, de blah, de blah. He's coming as a star player. He's obviously 4-star at fullback, so he is better than Trippier. And more importantly, he is a 4-star ball-playing defender and only 22 and can still improve. And actually, we're not paying him a huge wage. Not really, not in the grand scheme of things. He's also got a release clause for clubs in the Champions League, £115 million, should they want to come into him. But Timber has joined Newcastle, a very, very good signing, I think you'll agree. And then we also bought in Lucas Torreira from Galatasaray. He'd only spent one season there, but you had a look at the season. 34 total appearances, 3 goals and 1 assist with 7.22 rating. That's from him playing as a defensive midfielder. We paid £11 million for him. Again, only £4 million of that was up front. He's very good in the centre of the fence. He's very good in central midfield. We needed someone. He was quite cheap, I think, all in all. It does mean, if we're having a look at our tactics, we have kept this tactic from last year, but we've dropped it to cautious. And then we've brought a secondary tactic in, which is more or less the same, at least in terms of these bits. But it does mean we've changed some player roles and fractionally changed this. And this is the positive tactic. At the moment, I think this is the team that we'll be going with. Oh, I also put Palmer in. Palmer's not showing up. I don't think that transfer's officially happened yet, but we did pay the £34 million to activate his release clause that we had as part of his loan. It's a lot of money for him. I genuinely think he'll prove to be worth it. I think this might be what I'm starting the season with. We've still got some transfers to make. We've got Trubin in goal at the moment. Nianzou would partner Timber in the centre of defence. Trippier stays over on the right. Long term, Timber can move over there and become our forever right back. But right now, Trippier's fine. We've still got Guimaraes in midfield, but we also put Torreira in there. And then we have a very, very capable backup in the form of Rodriguez. This all looks the same though, as does the left back. That troubles me slightly. I still think we need a better left back. And I'd like to strengthen somewhere here. Probably over on the right wing, because on the left wing, we've got St. Maximin. And we've got as well Zalewski over on that left-hand side. And I think that's probably more than enough. So Maximin probably starts there. So that side's fine. Centre of the park, I think, is fine. I still think we need a right winger and maybe a left back. And then I'll be happy, just about. We do have some issues, though. Guimaraes is currently unhappy. He's wanted by Chelsea and wants to join them. At the moment, we said no because they were not offering us enough money. And realistically, I don't want to lose him. The other one is Alexander Isak, who is happy at the moment because we just gave him a new contract and we're paying him £10,000 a week more than we were before. But he's also wanted by Chelsea, United, Spurs, Barcelona, Real Madrid. I don't know if he stays for the rest of the season. The problem is when you have a look at our scouted players, who could we bring in to replace Isak? Dominic Calvert-Lewin, maybe. He's English. That would be a good transfer. I think he'd cost about the same amount of money we'd get for Isak. After that, though, there's not really a lot in here that takes my fancy. The only other player I really, really would like is Tammy Abraham. And he doesn't want to talk to us at the moment because he's only just re-signed a contract with Roma. So I really hope that Isak doesn't leave. But I guess we'll find out. And right as I say that, yet another bid comes in for Guimaraes at this time. £62 million from United. Only 31 million of it, though, is up front. And can I replace him for £31 million? Let's have a look. Let's just have a look and see what we think. You can see at the moment I'm already trying to have a look for a deep line playmaker, because I'd be surprised if we can keep Guimaraes throughout this entire transfer window. He seems very, very set on leaving. But let's have a look together. Let's have a look here. And we'll say a deep line playmaker. Where is that now? Deep line forward. Deep line playmaker. There we go. Who have we got? We've got Tjelsman. I looked at him. I genuinely wanted to bring him in, but his price shot up. I can't remember. He might. He's not. He was under a bid by Manchester United as well. I guess they've also been priced out of that deal. I'd be happy to replace Guimaraes with Tielemans, but I don't think that's likely to happen. We've also got this guy here, Florian Grilisic. It's probably Grilisic, isn't it? But he only just joined Ajax. He'd be a good fit, so I guess we just scout him just in case as well. Douglas Luiz, I don't care. And then it's kind of just downgrades from there. Ruben Loftus-Cheek would be fine as well, 7.6 million, but he wants to be a star player, and I don't think he's got the quality to be a star player at the moment. If we edited this and we just got rid of this, do we have any really good? Oh, we do. Oh no, I haven't got interested on transfer on. I thought we were going to get Declan Rice for a minute then, but apparently not. Jude Bellingham apparently would be willing to join us though for £77 million. I mean, I'd be happy with that if we could get a lot of money for Guimaraes, but I don't think that's going to happen. Souček again, he could come in, but he's not really a playmaker, so I don't think we move for him. Tielemans again there. We can see Ward-Prowse, again, not a deep line playmaker. There are players available in here. And Sandro Tonali, for example, but I don't want to pay £168 million for him. Scott McTominay's available. Should we have a bid for McTominay? I feel like that would be a very, very unpopular decision. I don't know why, but I feel like it would be. So realistically, if we do let Guimaraes leave, then I don't think there's going to be a lot we can replace him with. So I'm just going to refuse it for a moment. And if he does want to come and have a moan at me, then we'll try and agree some sort of fee for him. There's Isaac's new deal coming through, as well as our Premier League fixtures. Anderson's got a pay rise. Good for him. The other thing as well, looking at the squad registration, is if we're going to sign any more players at the moment, they have to be English, or they have to be grown in nation. Let's go see if we can do any more transfers then. Well, there are some more signings leaving the club, at least. There's no more in yet. Emil Kraft has gone, as we can see, to Hoffenheim for just over 3.2 million. Carrion Clark, our 33-year-old centre-back who made no appearances at all last season, because he was on loan. I was about to say I didn't think he was here. He's joined Lokomotiv Moscow in Russia on a free at the end of his contract. Martin Dubravka, who was on loan inexplicably at Manchester United, it still really confuses me that that's where he's on loan. Newcastle fans, let me know. That seems to be a real-life transfer, and it confuses the hell out of me. But either way, he's gone over to Wolfsburg for very, very, very just under 5 million. We've also, Jeff Hendrick has gone. Loris Karius, we've known he was going for ages. He pre-signed a contract like way back when. Who else we got? Jay Turner Cook, who, as we can see, is a youth player at the moment. That's it for the second. Guimaraes still wants to leave the club. It does look, as far as I can tell, I believe, yeah, now he's re-signed his contract. All of that interest in Alexander Isak has gone. Guimaraes, though, it looks like the interest in him has gone as well, but he's still unhappy that he didn't get to join Chelsea. And Rodriguez is unhappy. I don't think I ever showed you that actually in the videos, but he's unhappy because he wanted the number 5, and I assumed, like in FM22, when you'd made that promise, it just used to automatically give them the number that you'd promised them. Turns out, just to let you know, doesn't do that in FM23. So he was a very, very angry young lad. Hopefully we can make him happy by giving him that number this year. Now we're just going to have a look at contracts. I mean, look at this. Trippier, his contract ends at the end of the season. I think we probably trigger the extension for that. Callum Wilson, I think he probably stays this season. I think he probably leaves at the end of the season, though. Almiron as well probably leaves. He'll be 30 by the end of the season. He's not really playing. And then we've got a load of youth players. So still lots to do in this transfer window. Well, we have a new player joining the club, and it is definitely one for the future, Matthias Arezzo. I'm sure a few of us have played with him before in Football Manager over at River Plate, and then recently joined Granada in Spain. Looks like they got relegated. Are they in the second division currently? Had a good season last season. We've just paid 14.75 million to activate his release clause. As a backup, as an advanced forward, he's basically going to be playing third fiddle this season because he's got Alexander Isak in front of him. Then I'd probably say still Callum Wilson, and then he's third fiddle. But as we just saw, Callum Wilson's contract ending at the end of the season, we've already got his replacement in. He'd do a nice job now, to be fair. He's already a Premier Division player. He could improve a lot all the way up to the same sort of star rating as Alexander Isak. And in fact, if we're having a look at this, our assistant manager is saying he's already better than Callum Wilson. So I'm more than happy with that signing. We have got some other stuff going on as well. If we have a look at the transfers out at the moment, we can see Joe Alton at the moment talking to Hertha Berlin. He's a player we're probably not going to use much this season. If you have a look at it, he can't play as a defensive midfielder, which is what we were playing a lot last season. He's not very good in any of these roles, in a role we're likely to use him in. And in midfield, he's ball-winning midfielder, which we don't use, or box midfielder, which we don't use. Carolina, we have to go all the way down to central midfielder before he becomes a player we'd actually use. So I think it's probably best to try and cash in on him and then maybe replace him with someone better, possibly. In addition to that, we just don't actually have a lot of wage budget left at the moment. Oh, we do now. Now all of those players have left, we actually do have quite a bit of wage budget. We'll go spend it, I guess. And as mentioned as well, Joe Alton has left the club, heading over to Hertha Berlin. We've received £29 million for him. We are paying a little bit of his wages. It doesn't now mean, if we have a look at our transfer budget, it's back up to over £50 million. And we've got just under £300,000 left in the wage budget. We are still trying to make a couple of signings. What I'm really struggling to find at the moment is a capable left back. I really would like someone at left back who was a little bit better. But right now, I can't really find anyone. Although there are some more new people in here. But again, I just don't feel like there's anything special, and I don't just want to spend money for the sake of it. Question mark. Oh, there's some good players in here though. Alessandro Bastoni there. That would be, assuming that's correct, and really nice signing. There are some nice looking players in it. That's, in Football Manager terms, that's quite cheap. Gabriel Barbosa as well. That would have been a very, very suitable signing to replace Alexander Isak. And it might yet work as well for our right winger. Although I don't know that his star rating is, but I don't know he's necessarily better than players that we have got. So we're going to need to have a think about that one. This is just players we could buy. I mean, Jude Bellingham again keeps popping up. £77 million. If we could somehow raise £77 million, I think I'd be game. But I don't think we're going to raise £77 million all of a sudden. And another player has joined the club. This time, we said we needed a right winger, and we said we needed someone English. Hudson-Odoi can play on both sides. I have used him before, and he can play in the middle if we absolutely need him to. And more importantly, of course, he is English, which means he fulfills that homegrown quota that we need. Potential to be a leading Premier Division left winger or a right winger in the future. And he's got some really, really good attributes. He's obviously been over on loan at Bayer Leverkusen in real life and in game as well. £23 million, of which we're paying £10 million up front. I think that's a pretty decent deal We'll ask Isaac to welcome him, and we'll just see, can we add him to the squad now? Let's just auto-select all of this a second. Is there anyone we're leaving out? Nianzu's left out, but he's under 21. Zaleski's under 21 as well. Prigamal is probably not going to get registered. Anderson's under 21, as is Cole Palmer and Arezzo as well. So that means everyone is registered. That is our squad of 25 as it stands. So if we want to bring anyone else in, we would have to sell some players or not register someone, which, to be honest, would I care about not registering Cardalo? Not really. So we've got room for one more signing. And I think I might know who it is. And it is the person I expected it to be, which is Antonio Silva, a centre-back who apparently, according to FM, is a wonder kid as well. See, you can see it right here, wonder kid. Full disclosure, I have not yet looked at a wonder kid list for FM23 on purpose. This guy's come over from Benfica. He's cost us £31 million. He's probably going to be our first choice centre-back now, or at least one of our two first choice centre-backs. He's got bags of potential and he's really not that bad already. As you can see, he can play really, really well as a ball-playing defender. For some reason, he likes to play cover on all of them, so we might have to change tactics. And he is not even the only player we've just brought in. The other one is Enzo Fernandez. Look at that star rating. He is 22. Look at that star rating. And his best position is central midfielder on attack. He can also play, if we need him to, as our defensive midfielder. If we really needed him to. I don't think he does a bad job as a deep line playmaker on support either, because that looks to me like a really good passing technique and first touch, which we might need him to do. We paid £35 million for him, by the way. We might need him to do that because we've had to promise to let Guimaraes go. He's really, really unhappy about the fact that he wasn't able to join Chelsea, who now want him again, as do Milan. And he's caused so much trouble within the squad. If you look at the dynamics, asking to leave, we've got 6 people who agree with him. We've now had to promise that he can leave. I've got him on a transfer list for £60 million. So hopefully he's going. I mean, hopefully, I don't want him to go, but at this point, it looks like he is. Sven Botman looks like he's going as well. He's had a 31.5 million bid for him from Monaco. And at the moment, if we have a look at this, realistically, that's not how we want to look at it. Realistically, we've got Timber. We probably then put Silva next to him, Nianzou, Gomez, Vivian, Rykic. Botman is the worst defender now, and I don't feel like we need 7 centre-backs. I feel like we probably need 5, so it's very likely as well that Rykic moves on, and that means that we've got Gomez and Nianzou from last season, and then we've just brought in Vivian, Silva and Timber. Look at that for a youthful centre-back pairing. I mean, the future's bright as long as we can actually get this team playing together. We now need, I guess, to go and work out if we're selling Guimaraes. We do kind of need to now because I've overspent on the wage budget, assuming that we're going to sell him. So I'm going to move all of that to wage budget for the moment, just so that we're not overspending. I feel like I've annoyed the board enough already without also overspending on the wage budget and annoying them even more. We're still not very secure on our job security. So we have arrived at the first day of the new season in the Premier League, where we're going to be facing Spurs in our opening game. There has been a little bit of transfer movement. Nothing in. Enzo Fernandez is the last one in. On the outside, Cardalo has left for Aston Villa for 1.1 million. He's never played a game for us. The big one, I guess, is Almirion, which is a shame because I know he's been playing really, really well in real life. But AM1, he probably, again, not the required quality at the moment. And BN2, he was injured a lot last season. If he'd been a bit less injured, he might have got in the squad a bit more. Maybe we'd be in a slightly different situation. But as it stands, he has left the club. We still have £33 million in the transfer kitty. We've also got Matthew Target on the way out of the club, probably for about £10 million because he wants to leave due to playing time, and realistically he's not going to get a lot of it, and hopefully that will allow us to find a left back. I still can't find a left back that I kind of think is good enough. I mean, I can find Theo Hernandez, but I don't have that sort of money, because that's just a little bit insane. We have got some older players like Marcus Acuna. Possibly could come in. I don't know if I want a 31-year-old wing back though, because I really need him to be bombing up and down that left hand side. Nuno Mendes again would be good enough, but I don't have 110 million pounds. I could have splashed it all on one player, but I think we've done better by rebuilding the team. And if we have a look at the dynamics as we head into the first day of the season, Guimaraes is still disappointed in not being able to leave to go to Chelsea, and does want to leave. Unfortunately, we are getting bids for him. I don't know if that's going to annoy him, because we're ejecting them. So they're from Leeds and Aston Villa, and they're for about £20 million. And I'm not selling Guimaraes for £20 million. That seems insane. Nick Pope is also now saying he wants more game time. But I think we've proven in this series so far, Nick Pope isn't very good. Guido Rodriguez is still unhappy about not having his promised squad number, even though he does now have his promised squad number. And Zalewski got a bid from, I think it was West Ham, someone. We've had to promise him that we're going to qualify for the Europa League this season, or he's going to leave. So that's where we are at the moment. I think this is probably our starting team as it stands. We've got Livakovic / Trubin. I'm still not sure in goal. Pedazra, we've got Silva and Timber and Trippier as our back four, which I think is a better quality than last season. Obviously, Silva, lots of potential. Timber, already very good. We then got Fernandes and Torreira in midfield. We've then got Rodriguez, and we've got Guimaraes as well, that could be on the bench or part of the team. I'd quite like to have Guimaraes in there ahead of Lucas Torreira, but equally I don't want to be putting him in a team when he's in a massive huff and then lose him anyway. Got some Maximin, Palmer, Hudson-Odoi and Isaac. I kind of think that's the team we're going with. I also think we've got a decent amount of depth outside the squad in every position now. We'll see if that pans out for the rest of the season. Spurs and Southampton in our games in tomorrow's episode. And if you've enjoyed us spending an obscene amount of money in this episode and rebuilding the squad, then please do hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel, and check out tomorrow's episode when we start season 2 with Newcastle. Until then guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.